Hello, White Sox fans, and welcome into a late night edition of the Sox On Tap Podcast. It's Tony Marchese alongside Sleepy Steve. We're here to talk about an 8-4 White Sox victory. I think we're both exhausted, Steven, but the White Sox gave us a win. That means we have to drink victory beers. At least I do. I'm pretty sure you don't have an adult beverage with you. You've got the water. Smart choice. You've got to be up in the morning. So do I. And we're going to talk about a ridiculous White Sox baseball game that took place tonight in Los Angeles. Before we do that, be sure you're following us at Sox On Tap on Twitter. Follow Steve at NWI_Steve. Myself at Tony On Tap. Follow the show on YouTube, youtube.com/OnTapSportsNet. It's late, Steve. We're going to try and get to everything. I know you're sleepy, but how are you feeling after the victory?
Hey, Anthony. I'm on fumes right now, but listen, I'm a goddamn champion, and so I'm here, and we're going to do this.
We're both here. We're both very much in the present right now. I see our guy Voodoo's in the comments already, as he normally is. Thanks for staying up with us. Anybody who's tuned in, thank you for staying up with us as we break this one down. There's a lot to get to, so we'll try and get to all of it before we crash, either fall asleep right here on the show or make it through this entire ball game. As I said, White Sox win 8-4 as the final. This game was started by Mike Clevinger and Clayton Kershaw. I want to start there, Steve. Some brilliant stuff from one Mike Clevinger tonight before he unfortunately exits this ball game with an injury, and we'll get to that. But any thoughts on Clevinger pre-injury that he suffered in the top or the bottom of the fifth inning?
He looked good out there. Had good life on the fastball, was using both sides of the plate, elevating when he needed to, had the real good sweeper working for him here today, was generating damage. Mookie Betts and Fred Freeman, they had some pretty piss poor, almost dare I say White Sox like at bats against Clevinger here tonight. So he obviously went out there. He had really good stuff. And it was just very unfortunate to see him have to exit the game after 4 2/3 innings when he was throwing the ball the way he was. You're muted, Anthony.
Was fantastic. Just the way he's pitched since he came back from right wrist inflammation has been something special. I know he got touched up a little bit in New York, but tonight against the Dodgers, that was the type of thing that we wanted to see when we signed Mike Clevinger. Just got the job done, and unfortunately leaves this one early tonight. And he left with the lead too. That was the important thing here. I want to touch on this though. What does this mean for the White Sox rotation going forward?
That sound you hear right now, that's the sound of Jesse Schultens getting in a car and driving to the Charlotte airport so that he can catch a flight, presumably up to Seattle would be my guess. Actually, no, he probably wouldn't have to be back until they go to Chicago. So maybe they bring a reliever up for the weekend, and then we see Schultens when the team comes home on Monday against Texas.
It's not great.
It's not ideal. It's not what you want to see.
No, and for those that didn't see the injury, it just did not look good. You had him sort of dangling the arm. The team has classified this as a right bicep. Steve, as a pitcher, right bicep, thoughts on time frame here? Just initial eye test evaluations?
A lot of times, and this just kind of comes from my experience and my background dealing with some orthopedic surgeons now. A lot of times if it is labeled as a biceps injury, depending on where that is at, that can sometimes travel up to the shoulder, depending on where the exact spot of that inflammation
I
could
did
be.
see
So,
him grab the shoulder. That's
yeah,
where
so
that's where my first thought was.
that's a big concern right there. Listen, in medical circles, they talk all the time about the shoulder joint being the most imperfect joint in the human body. So anytime you have an injury to that region, it's problematic. I mean, you go back and think about John Danks. What about Danks? And how good he was for this team and just consistent. And then 2012, shoulder goes out on him, and he was never the same guy after that.
Didn't Jake Peavy also leave a game at one point?
That was a lat. That was a lat issue on July 1st, 2010. That was on Polish Heritage Night against the Angels. It was game was delayed about 2 hours due to rain, about a 9:05 first pitch. Not that I remember that or anything from being in attendance. Definitely don't.
Say, you definitely remember this.
Yeah. So, no, but that was a lat issue. Okay. So, yeah, little different there. But, yeah, obviously not going to know the severity of the situation here with Clevenger for a couple of days. Just got to knock on wood and hope for the best.
Do you remember just a few days ago when this team was at quote-unquote full strength, Steven?
No, I don't, because Eloy wasn't playing.
I think there was like 1 or 2 games
I don't think there was
full strength. I thought it was like the day that Eloy had come back before he got injured again. Yeah, I lose track of these things. Forgive me. There's been far too many fucking injuries with this White Sox team, Steve. So I thought there was like a day or 2 where they were either getting close to full strength or they were full strength. I don't know. I digress.
Well, can we even really categorize them as at full strength right now? Hearing Pedro Grifol's quotes about Yoan Moncada before the game.
No, and I was going to save that one for afterwards. But while we're here, why don't we? And this is something that we talked about on the show a ton of times. The injury bug is #back, Steve. I don't think the White Sox.
Whoa, Anthony, can it be #back if it never left?
And well. It left for like 3 days. Left for about 3 days. Now it's #back again.
I mean,
tell me about Moncada. Let's go. The listeners want to hear it.
Well, I mean, Pedro said basically that the back is, in non-scientific terms, a little ouchy, and they're just kind of playing it day to day at this point. They don't know if an IL stint is going to happen. This kind of aligns with what we've talked about in the show for what's it been, 6 weeks now at this point, since Moncada came back from his month-long IL stint. And again, this just kind of goes back to some of the conversations I've had with a couple of the spine surgeons I know pretty well, that this is something that is going to flare up, that when you have that disc protrusion, particularly leading to symptoms with pain radiating down the leg, that's not just going to go away. And minor movements can be the type of thing that could trigger it at any random point. We saw this in the game a couple of days ago.
Would you consider dancing minor movements?
I mean, yeah.
So, it could have happened anywhere.
I mean, it could have happened there. It could have happened at a Hooters in Maryville, Indiana, for all we know. I mean, some questions just go unanswered on how it could have possibly happened, Anthony.
So you're saying that multiple sources cannot confirm how Moncada's back flared up again?
It is #unconfirmed.
Okay. We're there. So that was the Yoan Moncada injury news. There's a lot of bad. There's a lot of good tonight. We'll get to some of the good. We'll start with Jake Burger. I believe that was in the 2nd inning, Steve.
Excuse me. That's Jake Michael Burger.
Jake Michael Burger. Why don't you talk about the first of the Burger bombs on the night?
Just showing some of that Oppo pop. Taking Clayton Kershaw, future Hall of Famer, right center, heavy Marine Air in LA at night. That's a bomb. That's big boy stuff right there. You gotta get all of it to be able to pull that off. So seeing him do that, look, he's been in a little bit of a funk of late. A lot of swing and miss, happening over the last, I would say, maybe 7 to 10 days or so. But when he is connecting with the baseball, he is still inflicting damage upon it. And he did that again here tonight. And, look, that's got to be something pretty cool for a guy that has gone through as much as Jake Berger has in the course of his professional career to hit a home run off of a future Hall of Famer, one of the best pitchers to ever do it. I mean, that's something that you kind of have to take stock of and be like, it's pretty damn cool.
Yes, it absolutely is. I believe we talked some predictions on this show. I can't confirm this because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I believe we said something about Jake Berger leaving the yard against Clayton Kershaw before. So maybe he's got his number, maybe he doesn't. I'll circle back. I'll look at the numbers. If I have to issue a correction, I will tomorrow morning. However, as of right now, in my mind, for some reason, he's done this twice. He homered twice tonight, but he's done it twice against Clayton Kershaw. So, Steve, he gets the White Sox an early lead in the top of the second inning. Your guy, and I've got some confirmation in here before we move on. Sorry for the stall, everybody. Our guy Voodoo says he can #confirm. He was listening. He issued the statement out there to everybody on Twitter.com tonight that we called this. Maybe we spoke it into existence on Sunday Fun Day. And you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen, that Jake Berger was going to do that tonight. Steve, your guy, La Pantara, got the job done out there, and I think the people need this. Let me give you the floor here.
They need it, you're saying?
They need it. They need it. They don't even want it. They need it.
Who am I to deprive the people of what they need?
I mean, it's almost 1 a.m., so you got to give the people what they need.
Boy, well, here goes nothing. Because listen, anytime you get a home run at Dodger Stadium off a future Hall of Famer, courtesy of one Luis Jr., it's a sight to see.
That was epic. That was epic. It's 12:54. I saw the minute hand change on the clock with how long you rolled that R there, Steven. And that put the Sox up 2-0. At that point, you had Mr. Mike Clevenger still on the mound, although he was referred to on the broadcast as Matt Clevenger.
Yeah, let's stop right there.
That's exactly where I want to go with this. This is the perfect segue for the first 5 innings. What are your feelings on tonight's broadcast there on ESPN? Because I've got some things to say as well, but I'll give you the floor first.
Fucking train wreck of a broadcast. It's very clear to me that these people have not observed any White Sox baseball at all this season. They literally just hopped on the Google machine and typed in Chicago White Sox and tried to look for some headlines, because the amount of out-of-town stupid coming from Tim Kirkchin, Jessica Mendoza, and whoever that third jabroni was in the booth. He's not even worthy enough of getting a fucking name out there. But my God, just talking about, Andrew Vaughn being extremely productive offensively this year, now that he's switched over to first base, and this team being, fundamentally sound, and just these anecdotes about Pedro Grifol, developing his baseball mindset in Miami, calling Jake Berger fat. I mean, just truly, truly embarrassing stuff.
My favorite moment of the night was, I believe, in the first or second inning, as they were talking about Mr. Matt Clevenger. They were talking about his pregame routine and how he was sitting in the dugout talking to some people, that the gentleman that you referred to just a moment ago as the third jabroni They asked him who exactly he was talking to, and I believe the answer to that was, I don't know, but I'm sure he knows who those people are. That had to be like one of the worst broadcast moments I've ever witnessed on my television. You can't make an observation that you can't even back up. Was it Ethan Katz? Was it Kurt Hassler? Who was it? I mean, that would be mentioned on any local broadcast. And if it was the New York Yankees, the Dodgers, the Chicago Cubes, hell, even probably the Arizona Diamondbacks or the Tampa Bay Rays at this point, they would know the coaching staff of those teams to talk about them. I find it funny that you mention that they probably just Googled everything. I wonder if they saw their On Tap Sportsnet article about Pedro Grifol and how Bob Nightingale threw some shade at them. I was waiting for that to get brought up on the broadcast after you had tweeted that out, because I'm wondering where they got their information or scouting report, because that one's sitting up there at the top of Google. Our guy Buzz on Tap wrote that one yesterday over at ontapsportsnet.com. I was waiting for that to just make its way into the broadcast. I heard Jake Berger descriptions of he looks like a burger not once, not twice, but I think 3 times during tonight's broadcast. So the level of detailed analysis, you call it cringe, I call it detailed analysis in this game, was something to be witnessed. Steve, we have to get here. The bottom of the 6th inning was an absolute debacle. And
a lot of little league type bullshit going on there.
Yes, there was so much little league type bullshit. Why don't you walk everybody through the sequence of events that took place in the bottom of the 6th inning?
Well, you had 2 runners on in this. I think there was a base hit and a walk in there. What wasn't that how the inning started? And then you get Mookie Betts coming up there hitting a ball past Andrew Vaughn into right field, and Clint Frazier comes up throwing short hop. Yaz doesn't pick it. Gregory Santos literally just right by the pitcher's mound, nowhere near where he is supposed to be. So the ball gets away from Yaz, allows the first run to score. And now all of a sudden you're in a position. It's a 2-1 ball game. You got runners on 2nd and 3rd with nobody out, because that's just what the White Sox do. They don't do the fundamental things that supposedly the ESPN broadcast said that they are noted for with this coaching staff. Amazing how that just came back to bite them in the ass right away. But it's just like, my God, like, what are we doing here? And then, you get a walk to load the bases, ground ball, then hit to shortstop after you get an out. And Tim Anderson, there's no play at second base. Just says, hey, I'm just going to flip it to second base and try to get the force out here. Just not even fucking close. Not even close. The play was so clear. Your only option there is go to first base. And so I don't know if I'm allowed to do this. I don't know if I'm allowed to criticize Tim Anderson, because that's a hot button issue on Twitter.com. You can't criticize Tim Anderson because he won a batting title 4 fucking years ago. Just remarkably stupid. Just stupid fucking baseball. And this has been a theme now with him ever since he came back from his IL stint. You can try to dress it up all you want. He's been playing dumb as shit. He's had his head up his ass. Physically, he's not performing, but mentally, my God, his head is so far up his fucking ass right now. It's just unbelievable.
Welcome to Sox On Tap After Dark. Steve, I've seen the takes on Twitter about, Tim Anderson is still the guy. I think I wrote some words about, is it time? today.
And if you criticize him, you're a bad fan. You're a bad fan if you criticize Tim Anderson. Because he's been here since 2016 and he won a batting title.
If you go on Google right now and just type in Tim Anderson, there's all sorts of stuff about this guy for all of the wrong reasons. And that's not something I think Tim Anderson wants. Maybe that's a bed that he made himself. I don't think that's anything that a White Sox fan wants to see. I don't think that that's something that the White Sox front office wants to see. This is a bad situation right now. Just an incredibly bad situation. He is a real problem for this team and sort of the tone that, and I don't want to give too much away of what I wrote, but we've said on the show, and it's been said throughout not only White Sox Twitter, I'm sure other social circles have said this as well for the past couple of seasons. The Sox go as Timmy goes. He's the straw that stirs the drink. You can make any metaphorical comp to this that's out there. Do you want to continue down this path with this individual right now where we stand? Because as you just described, he has cost this team a lot of runs, and some of them have been in critical spots, not only with the bat, but with the glove. And with everything else that's surrounding him right now, it's not good. In fact, it's very not good. It's terrible to sit here and dissect this, because this is a guy that has sort of been the de facto leader. Tim Anderson has been that guy. Jose Abreu was that guy as well. But this has really been centered around Tim Anderson since 2016. There's your problem. And I thought it was going to do that again tonight. I thought this was going to be the same story that we've seen countless times this season. Thank goodness that it wasn't, because the headlines and the talk of all of this stuff, I still think it's warranted. Just because the Sox won the game doesn't mean that play didn't exist. But look at him at the plate tonight.
Got a sub 600 OPS.
Abysmal.
Sub 600 OPS. But if you suggest moving him down in the order, again, it's he won a batting title in 2019. He was hitting for power in 2020 and 2021. Okay. Well, it's not 2021 anymore.
It's time to pick it up. I mean, you wrote this as well over at On Tap Sportsnet. If the Sox are going to have a chance to get through this, he needs to pick it up. It's true. However, I think the White Sox were able to overcome some adversity today, because I've seen this team fold after plays like this. And not only just that one, the ball that got past Grandal in that inning, I've seen this team fold so many times to better teams. And the Dodgers are a better team than the Chicago White Sox.
Source?
The standings.
Big if true.
Well, they're a better team. They've got some injuries. They're a better team.
Would you go as far as to say that they're a serious organization, unlike the White Sox?
I would go as far as to say so.
Okay.
I would go as far as to say that the Dodgers are a serious team, and that the White Sox generally give
Mickey Mouse?
Mouse Club? I like to see other teams do White Sox things. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no, I get it. But yeah, I mean, just putting a bow on this Tim Anderson discussion, I mean, it was all there tonight. The boneheaded defensive plays, the absent-mindedness out there, and just he had a couple of situations where he came to the plate with opportunities to add on additional runs, and he didn't get the job done. Elvis Andrus tonight actually did a really good job of working Clayton Kershaw, working 2 walks out of him, and giving Tim opportunities to come up with runners on base and runners in scoring position to add additional runs to the White Sox lead, and Tim didn't get the job done. So, but again, he's grandfathered into that leadoff spot. We can't dare.
That needs to stop.
Yeah, we can't dare upset his mental psyche because he won the batting title 4 years ago.
Needs to stop. It needs to stop. We need to stop the madness. I thought this game was over. Let's go to the 8th inning. Let's go to the 8th inning. I thought this game was over. I was ready to come on, scrant, just rant and rave about how bad that inning was and just completely go off on Yasmani Grandal, Tim Anderson, the lack of fundamentals, and then we've got this eighth inning to talk about. Let's go.
Jake Michael Berger is the name. That's
all-star.
Yeah.
All-star. Yeah. In every sense of the word, all-star. And it looks like he'll be playing a lot of third base, and that bat is going to find its way into the lineup for reasons we talked about earlier with Yohan Moncada being down. This one's off the foul pole. I love it when they hit him off the foul pole, Steve, because it still counts as a home run. I don't know. The fact that he was able to come through, not only to give his team the lead, but to get us back in this baseball game.
He's just one of the very few. There's maybe 2 or 3 likable guys.
Pretty cool and tough
on this team. And Jake Berger is at the absolute top of that list. I'm going to keep beating this point into the ground here. I don't care. But for a guy to deal with what he dealt with just to get to this position, you can just see how much he is enjoying and appreciating his time being up here, being a part of this team. And he's going out there and he's smacking the living shit out of the baseball. Pretty damn cool to think that you can go up and hit 2 home runs in Dodger Stadium. Like that first time, you ever go out there. That's pretty awesome.
That's sort of your play of the game here. I'm just reading the scoring summary on MLB here, and that gave the Chicago White Sox win probability for people who like the advanced stats and percentages and all those numbers and the math. 28% jump in the White Sox win probability. That brought it actually back to a 50% for the White Sox there and their win probability on the night. That was his 15th home run this season. This is a guy that did not make the team out of spring training. What he has done is incredible. And if you want to go back to the unserious comment that you had made earlier, let's just think about some of the guys that did make the team ahead of Jake Berger, and then we'll go back from there. Start thinking about some of that. The Sox weren't done, though. Clint Frazier was able to drive in Andrew Benintendi to give the White Sox the lead there in the top of the 8th. And then the Sox continued to add on when we go to the top of the 9th. Steve, go for it for me.
They just it's kind of crazy to stop and to think about. They're in this position, they're down 4-2 in the 8th inning, and you're just thinking to yourself, you're like, you know what, this is just so very White Sox, to have everything just fall apart. And then boom, they just have this explosion for 6 runs in those last 2 innings right there. It's kind of crazy. You have Eloy in that 9th inning getting an RBI single, Noodle Boy getting an RBI single in there, which, it was good to see him, get another slap single in there after getting hit in the hand his previous at bat. So have to kind of monitor that tomorrow. Just add that to all the rest of the White Sox injury news here. So, that's that could hinder his pasta production. So we got to hope that that's okay.
I'm hoping so as well. It was nice to see him come through there. I thought it was pretty gutsy for him to be out there after that. I heard that he was also dealing with the sore hand already. I'm sure that's not going to feel good. Stayed in the game, though. I was a little concerned when he showed bunt to start that at bat, but able to shoot one through there on the left side of the field. So, hey, and that's all the scoring you needed. Kendall Graven comes in, shuts it down. Sox win by a final of 8-4. I'm feeling pretty good with that win. I felt like it was a very uncharacteristic win for this White Sox baseball team, given what 2023 has been for them. Very uncharacteristic win.
Well, you contrast that with what we saw over the weekend with this team giving away 2 games against the Miami Marlins that seemingly they were in position to win. You kind of have the antithesis of it here tonight. So it's always encouraging to kind of turn the tables a little bit. So, you like to see that. And, kind of at this point, anytime I can see the Dodgers fail, it feels good.
You're not a big Dodgers guy, are you?
I'm really starting to grow to dislike them.
Are you?
Yeah.
That's an interesting development that we've had here.
I think maybe Besnick is just he's bringing out the worst in me.
It's Besnick.
It might be.
It's always Besnick. Oh man, poor guy. He can't catch a break here. Sox to have another game tomorrow, series finale. Chance to win one out in LA before they head on off to the site of this year's All-Star game in Seattle. Steven, I believe we have one Dylan Cease on the mound. Give us the keys to success for tomorrow.
Strike one.
Yeah,
strike one is the key.
I had a feeling strike one was the key. I was going to double down on that, though, and say strike 2 and 3 are important to throw before we throw ball 1, 2, 3 and get us into, 5 to 7 pitch at bats. I don't want to see an elevated pitch count for him tomorrow. Do you have any other keys to success for the White Sox to win a series after they dropped one to Miami?
Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of expanding on the point with Dylan Cease there. Look, they talked about this on the broadcast last night. The only team in the majors this season that walks more than the Dodgers is the San Diego Padres. So this is a very patient team. This is an organizational approach that they instill upon their players from the very time they enter into the organization at the lowest levels. And it just continues all the way up until they get to that really just kind of overrated ballpark at Chavez Ravine there. But they maintain consistency with it, and they're good at what they do. So Dylan Cease is going to have to go out there, and he's going to have good, sharp command and control of the strike zone here. The one concern that I have with this is the Dodgers' ability to take pitches and be selective and work counts. There's a big part of me that wouldn't be shocked if we see Dylan Cease at 90 pitches in 4 innings tomorrow. Not saying that he's necessarily giving up any runs, but
nobody
that's just the way.
To see that.
No, and that's just the way that this Dodgers offense operates. They grind guys down, so Dylan's really got to go out there and he's got to have the ace stuff tomorrow, and he's got to be pounding that strike zone, working ahead, staying ahead.
Absolutely. Steven, do you have a pick to click in tomorrow's ball game?
While we're on the subject of pick to click, my boy Yaz, who was my pick to click here today, 3 hits, facing his former teammate Clayton Kershaw, the guy that he caught for a number of years. So, pretty good right there, I would say.
Who did I have? I think I went TA. That was a big miss. I should have went Jake Berger. I think that was a missed opportunity for me there. So I'll give this one to you, Steven. chalk
let's
one up
see.
in the left-hand column for you.
I don't know who this Grove guy is that's pitching for the Dodgers tomorrow. I'm going to assume that he's Lefty Grove reincarnate, but it appears that he throws right-handed. So, that's an interesting development there. So, let's see. As far as pick-to-clicks go, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Eloy.
I think
maybe Eloy finds the launch coast tomorrow.
That's a good one there. I'm gonna go with Andrew Vaughn. I'll go with Andrew Vaughn if he's in the lineup. If not, I'll go with my boy Gavin Sheets. I'd like to see him leave the yard. Anything else that you have, Steve, before we close this one down? Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Just a very surprising win for this team. Really kind of the opposite of what we have seen for much of the season here, and to do it against one of the perennial contenders, it's good to see. Hopefully they can build off that tomorrow and find a way to steal a series win. Because, boy, let me tell you, if you lose a series at home to this White Sox team and you fancy yourself a World Series contender, yikes.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a nice way to wrap this one up here. My final thoughts. I can't believe they did that on national TV. I for as bad as the broadcast was, I don't feel like we fare very well in these situations. I'm kind of shocked. I'm kind of surprised. Kind of surprised at the resiliency. I'm not surprised at who led it, and that's Jake Berger. I think he's just been the not only the most likable guy, but the best storyline out of this team so far this season. It's refreshing. It's palate cleansing. It's everything that you could have hoped for out of a White Sox first-round draft pick who's faced plenty of adversity. So I'm very pleased to see that. Hopefully they can get the job done tomorrow and walk out of here with the series victory and make you happy, Steve. I'm here to try and see you enjoy White Sox baseball. And hopefully that's what we're doing around this same time tomorrow. It's a late one. We're going to get out of here.
Hopefully it's a lot earlier tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully it's a lot earlier tomorrow. We're going to get out of here because we both need to get to sleep. I'm sure everybody else does as well. Thank you to all the listeners who tuned in, stayed up late with us. Voodoo, that includes you. You're the real MVP here of the show. Hashtag confirming things earlier on. Everybody else, comment like that guy so we can get some more interaction going. Steve, it's always a pleasure. Follow Steve at NWI_Steve. You can follow myself at Tony On Tap, the show at Sox On Tap on Twitter.com. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube. It's youtube.com/OnTapSportsNet. Check the site out, OnTapSportsNet.com. Head on over to our White Sox section and get all of our White Sox ramblings, news, updates, all that and more over there. It's always a pleasure, my friend. It's always better to talk about a White Sox winner, drink victory beers, close it down how we always do. White Sox forever.
White Sox for life.